It's VJ again, and I am here talking about Godzilla, the role-playing game. And I'm going to let my lovely host introduce, I'm the host. Yes, introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen. I am the games manager at IDW Games and IDW Publishing. I'm also a comic book editor there, and I am the lead editor on the Godzilla role-playing game.
First off, folks, you're going to see this, because it is a voice only, you should be seeing the picture of the artwork in here. It looks amazing. I just got to put that in the interview right now.
Thank you.
So my first question for you is, what is your experience with Godzilla outside of the game, obviously, as a media form and whatnot?
So Godzilla has been an ever-looming presence around my life. So I was actually born in Japan, so I started having exposure to a Godzilla at a very young age. I lived over there very young. I don't remember much of it. And then obviously the movies have just been always. I recently just rewatched Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1 to, really get ready for this con. So, I mean, he's Godzilla. He's everywhere. You can't, or it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can't avoid them.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so before, I actually, let me turn that right here. Okay, before I actually start asking you about the game, do you have a favorite Godzilla property?
Shin Godzilla.
Okay, excellent.
Shin Godzilla. In terms of the movies, I will say I also really love our comics line we're doing right now. So we're doing a whole line of original comics set within what we're calling our own Kaisei era. So it's our own era of Godzilla, unique to IDW Publishing. And it centers on 3 lines of books all set within the Kaisei era. Our main Kaisei ongoing, which follows a team of G-Force soldiers who are in the grips of fighting Godzilla and all the major kaiju. There's also one set in an area called the Dead Zone. So it's called Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone. And it is about people living in a wasteland in the United States that was destroyed by kaiju in some mysterious accident. And then there's also Starship Godzilla, which is a space-based adventure kind of in the vein of Firefly, and it's about a team of space mercenaries who are flying around in a rehabilitated mecha Godzilla that they're using as a spaceship. So those are all a really good time.
Oh, I love that, actually. Okay, so question, what was it like getting the IP for this exactly?
So IDW's been working with Toho for a while, publishing comics. We actually have a bunch of comics here available. So we already had been having a working relationship with them. So moving into the TTRPG, it was just an extension of our current publishing contract for books.
Okay, excellent. All right. So I've asked you all the background questions. Let's talk about the actual game. So can you tell me about the process of actually, because as you said, you've been doing comics, what made you decide, let's move into the role-playing space with this, and then just any further things you want to let my audience know about actually designing the game, and anything you want to talk about on it, because I know you've run a couple of demos so far, but yeah, please take it away.
Yeah, so before I started working at IDW, I was actually a DM for hire through startplaying.com. So I was an RPG person. I love RPGs. And I was doing that for a freelance gig, making ends meet before this job rolled along. And I was hired into a comics position. And when they were talking about bringing back the games department, they said, Ellen, we want you in here. Get in here and do that. So that's how I kind of came into this world. And we knew we wanted to create our own system that would become the backbone of our TTRPGs. And then in addition to that, we wanted to bring on a team of all-stars to start our first property. Godzilla was a natural first choice.
Yeah, of course.
We have a great relationship with Toho. We love working with them. It was really good timing with our new Kaisei era launch as well. And then the team we brought on, we have Jervis Johnson, Gav Thorpe, and Mark A. Latham, who are all-star writers and creators that have decades and decades of experience with places like Warhammer, as well as other publishing initiatives. And they were so excited. So when we brought them on, they also came on to build our base system in addition to building this game specifically. So that we've been working with them for, I don't know how long now, but we've been meeting with them every week, constant email communications to develop the system. And this is our first official public playtest. So it is a true blue playtest. We are getting information from people, getting thoughts on the system, seeing how people like it, what we might need to adapt as we move into the final. So that's been our process up to this point.
Okay, excellent. What would you say has been like your favorite part of this whole entire process thus far? If you have one.
I mean, all of it is so amazing. PAX Unplugged, this debut has been pretty amazing. It's been incredible to put in all this work and then see all our fantastic playtesters just come by, and I love having them have such a good time. It's kind of a dream come true to be doing this. And then, I mean, just sitting down with the designers and talking about game mechanics and really wrestling with the different options we have and exploring what it means to use cards as a mechanic as opposed to dice is really fascinating. It creates some really interesting problems and opportunities. My favorite thing I like to say about cards is that cards have memory, but dice don't. So using that to our advantage. A die, it can roll a 20 every single time. It can roll a 1 multiple times. But in cards, if you play the ace of spades, it's gone. So it's really been fun to experiment with what opportunities we have there. And I think we found some really cool ones.
Yeah, I do got to say, cards have memory and dice. Oh, I love that. That is definitely going in like the tagline of this somewhere. That was what an excellent quote.
Well, thank you. I've been working on it.
Okay, so you played this as well, right?
Yes.
What's it like being a player on the other side of this?
It is really smooth and rewarding to be a player on the side because you feel like you have so many options to absolutely tank it through encounters and challenges, because the system's very flexible where you can go into a challenge with a crazy plus 20 bonus on a check, and it is up to your power to do that. It's about using your resources. So the way I like to put it is like you always have resources available. It's about whether or not you want to spend them now or save them and play conservative and win them later, because you have cards in your hand that you can play or hold on to. So it's nice knowing, unlike dice where sometimes you can't guarantee a success, you could still have a natural 1, you could still have a 20, which we do have something like that. We have jokers that can come into play here. You can choose to really buff yourself up for a challenge.
Yeah.
And that feels nice to know that it's a little bit more in your control. And also there's really direct narrative mechanical rewards for players' personality and your character's interactions with others. We have specific teamwork and bond mechanics in this game. That's really fun to reward that as well.
Okay, so I think this might be like my final question, and then I'll let you add anything else you'd like to the interview. What do you have to say to anybody who is thinking about trying to like get an IP for something and working within the confines of that IP, and like trying to make sure they are respecting the original property as well and whatnot?
That's a really good question. It depends on what level you're operating at. If you're a small independent creator and you're not connected to a larger company, and there is a larger company that works with an IP you're interested in, your best option is probably going to be maybe reaching out to that company and trying to establish a relationship with them on smaller properties. It really depends. A relationship with a licensor like Toho is very important. And another thing I would say is if you're a smaller creator, look for properties that are interesting to you, that maybe you have a personal connection with a creator involved with that property. And then the biggest recommendation I can give for working with any sort of larger IP is understand what they care about with the property. What is important to Toho about Godzilla? What does it mean to create a Godzilla story for them? And understand that your role as a person creating something based on an IP is to create something that you love, that fans will love, but that also is resonating with the IP's mission. What do they think? So for instance, Godzilla is an immortal force of nature, and there are certain things about that. We're not going to say that, we're not going to put them in a tutu and have them running around like a human, because that's not what Godzilla stories are about. Now, if a fan wants to take this game and go do that at their own table, that's their business, but it's not what the heart of these stories are about. So you really want to honor the heart of the IP and what what it is really supposed to be about on a fundamental level. I also want to take a second and introduce, this is Chad Wood, our specialty project manager.
Oh, hi guys.
He's just jumping in. He just finished up a play test over here, so I wanted to give him a second if you have any questions. He's running all of our Kickstarters and also a fundamental part of our games team.
Hey, yeah, as soon as okay. Tell me what it's like running the Kickstarters and whatnot. I've been like involved with some, but I've never been the one in charge of it and all the logistics and whatnot. For anybody that's like listening to this and might want to start dipping their toes into handling that.
Sure. Anytime you're running any sort of major project like that, right, there is a bit of chaos that you just have to keep working through. You've sort of got to be the juggernaut and just keep pushing forward. Nothing should stop you. The biggest thing I can say is truly Kickstarters nowadays are all about the pre-marketing. That's why we've launched our pre-launch page 3 months ahead of our Kickstarter. Do not rely on, no matter how popular your brand you're working with, do not rely on that day of people will just show up, right? Yeah. You want to get them in as early as possible, 3 months. Make sure to keep reminding them. We're doing a lot of, almost every other week, we're doing some sort of release about the game. I think our next one is in December. Should be previewing the actual cover for the book. We have something scheduled for January, right after Christmas. It's about getting people interested early and keeping them interested. And then when the Kickstarter launches, make sure that you have a plan, make sure you know how you're fulfilling everything, make sure to communicate everything, and hopefully if your starter does good, as long as you follow through, fans should be pretty forgiving. Yeah. That would be the other side of this. Fans, be a little forgiving. Yeah. These things are chaotic. Be a little forgiving.
And also just communication's key. If plans have to change, just making sure everyone's aware of what's happening and don't make an announcement until you're ready to make an announcement. So for instance, we didn't want to say anything about this game until we knew when the Kickstarter was happening. We didn't want to say when the Kickstarter was happening until we knew for sure when it was happening, because you don't want misinformation out there.
Yeah. 100%.
So one more question before I ask, hey, anything you just feel like you want to say to my fans. Are you guys planning on doing like a open gaming license type of thing for third-party publishers? How does that work with an IP holder?
This is a very good question, and we do have an internal SRD. I don't know how that would be a separate effort from the game to release that in any way, because that is going to be an internal document as of right now. It's something we're exploring, but we're not ready to make an announcement about it this time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know there's some games that don't do it and some games that do, and as somebody who the OGL affected for a little while, I love to ask and check in and whatnot about that.
I mean, that's part of why we built our own system. We didn't want to be at the whim of something else.
Yeah, exactly. Totally understandable.
One thing I think we can say is that part of this game, for Godzilla specifically, is that we are including a chapter on building your own kaiju. So even if, as she said, we're not 100% sure about the engine part of all this, but for this game, we are giving you an opportunity to really dive in and build your own kaiju, build your own version of G-Force, really build up your characters. So there's going to be a lot of variables and variations of this game, I think, that allows you to play anything from classic Godzilla to Kaisei to anything you might want, including your own stuff.
Ooh, excellent, thank you. So then I guess the last thing here is there anything the two of you feel like you really want to say to my fans? And there's no limit on if you wanted to go on a long ramble about something, that's super fine as well. But yeah, I just wanted to open up to see if there's not one last thing, but anything you'd like to share.
I just want to say thanks for gaming and keep getting back to the table. Don't give up on playing games with your friends. It is so valuable to have that space in your life, and I think no matter where you're at, it is always worth it to get back to a table or back online, whatever you can do, and don't give up. And keep doing it. And I hope you're all having a great day.
I think what I'd like to say to every gamer across the board, across everywhere, right, is don't get locked into an ideals of a game. This game and a lot of other games aren't D&D, but that doesn't mean they're not fantastic games. And if you can go along with their rules and with their games, you can have a lot of fun outside of D&D, which is fantastic. I play D&D all the time.
Yeah.
But it's a combat simulation at its core with role-playing elements. If you go and play something like Masquerade, much more of a role-playing system. This is a fantastic storytelling system. So just don't get locked into one game. Life's too short to play one game forever. Play as many as you can.
No,
and just
exactly.
have fun.
Exactly.
Find the game that's for you. Find your game. Yeah.
And this might be the game for you guys, so I will make sure to share the Kickstarter pre-launch so you can get excited about it as things comes out. I'm definitely going to be talking about it some more. But thank you, both of you, for doing this with me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was great meeting you.
Of course, great meeting you as well. And that's where we're going.